Well, Brian Williams joins us again, and Brian, good to have you back. And I'm excited about our time together because we were talking just moments ago, and this is great context for the conversation we're about ready to have. Yeah. But over the last, is it 3 years, 4 teams? Did I get that right?
Yeah, 4 different teams in the past 3 years.
4 different teams. 3 years, you're in a leadership position. You were on what we call here in Ramsey world our operating board. So it's the top level of leadership across the company. And you have had to jump in for different reasons. I just wanted you to give the quick snapshot of the 4 situations, without all the details, but what were the 4 situations and why were you coming into those situations?
So the end of that, the end of the beginning really was the creative team that I've been on for for 10 years, and kind of started that from scratch and grew that up to a really large team. And so that was kind of a sustaining success.
Yes.
And it was working really great. Then we kind of moved into a startup model, Christy Wright's Business Boutique, and I got the privilege of being a part of that and get that started. And so that was building a team from the ground up, taking the highest level of idea and starting to create a business out of that. Then shortly after that, we were moving. One of the leaders left a product team that was really in a lurch, and so I got to jump in with that, kind of get the team reshuffled and pointed towards a vision and moving forward. And then here recently, kind of brought that team with me as we kind of pulled together multiple products, multiple teams into the financial peace division. And so that's currently where I'm sitting as the EVP of financial peace. Yeah.
And so what we got there is you have a launching situation, you had a leadership vacuum situation. This current situation is similar, the company growing, a little bit of restructuring over there in that particular world. And okay, we need a leader there, and that's going to kind of bring it all together. So I'm curious, I want you to address this because I think this is good for leaders that are listening in that are in this role, in a new leadership position, or maybe they're a senior leader and they're looking for somebody to bring over maybe from a different part of the company into another role. What have you learned about coming from one area into completely different area, but in a leadership position? You're not coming in on the ground level, you're coming in at the top.
Yeah. The biggest thing I can say is listen. My first day in the Every Dollar team, I cleared out a conference room, made it my office, bought a couch, just specifically so I could start pulling team members in, have them sit down and ask them questions. Like the people on the ground are the ones that really know what's going on. And all I have to do is listen and learn. And then from that standpoint, I get the context I need to help formulate, okay, this is where we're going. And so I assured them right out of the gate, we're not gonna make any major decisions for a while, so that I can get my bearings, because it would be short-sighted for me to come in and tell them this is how we're going to run the business that you've been a part of for so long. And so listen, and then from that standpoint, start to formulate who are the people that have influence, may not be in a leadership role, but have influence, and then start to use them as your sounding board to get your ideas of, hey, how does this way with what we were talking about? What about this? And then from that standpoint, you can see them start to light up of like, A, you've heard me, B, you really care, and C, we're going to start moving this in the right direction. And from that standpoint, then you start to broaden your spectrum of communication out to the rest of the team.
Okay, I'm so glad you took us to communication because I want to hang here for just a bit. I'm listening in here and I'm wondering if what you just described as a process of listening when you came into a new role as a leader, does that also work for somebody who's listening right now going, we're not communicating well as a company, I've not done a great job of this, it could be better, maybe we're even unhealthy? Do they do the same situation here? Do they kind of pull everybody in the room and go, okay, I'm going to prove to them and I'm going to actually start listening?
I honestly think it's harder when you've been there for a while.
Right.
Because at that standpoint, you've kind of got your rhythms, and there's a mess in the corner and everyone's kind of ignored it. At that standpoint, you need to push the reset button at some point and pull the team together and go, okay, we're making a change. Okay. Remember when you were a kid and your parents would have that family meeting, and inevitably it was significant because something was changing. You're going to have to do that kind of standpoint. When you're coming in fresh, you have that benefit of not having context, and so when you're sitting down, people don't think what's the ulterior motive? Right. But the ultimate answer is yes. You've got to do something dramatic and you've got to do something consistent to communicate well to your team of, I hear you, and here's where we're going. And I think those are the two critical aspects to kind of reset and start driving forward.
Okay, so let's go then back to the end of your answer. Now you're communicating as a whole. What is healthy communication in your mind? What does it look like within a team?
I think it's something that's fairly consistent. So on the regular, I'm meeting with my entire team once a month. So we have a big company-wide get-together where we do once a week. After that, once a month, I just hold my whole team back, and we sit, and it's really kind of boring when you think about it. It's the stuff that you're doing on the all throughout the month, and it's updates of, here's all the things that are going on that apply to the vision that we've set forth. So you reset your vision, and you talk about the tactics that have happened. And so for my team, I've got a sales team, I've got a marketing team, I've got a development team, a product team, and so each one has a little bit of a facet of that vision. And independently, they don't know what the other team is doing. So it's just a constant rhythm of consistent communication, and then we leave time for question and answer at the end. And that's really where the beauty of it comes out, is because once there's some semblance of trust, they'll start asking, but what about this? I heard this. This is where we're going. And so you can kind of dispel those things that have come forth and really start to push the team together.
Yeah. I just want to make a note to those that are watching and listening. What Brian just described is true communication. You're clear, the leader is clear, the leadership is clear to the entire corporate body, if you will, the family. But after you're very clear on what needs to be said from the leadership position, you also are still in a posture of active listening.
Absolutely.
So that is true communication. Just want to point that out. We don't see that in a lot of companies. Here's a question we get a lot, Brian. How do I get my team to care as much as I do? I mean, we get this at our events. And by the way, it's a great question, and it comes from a spirited passion. And so I'm going to throw that big question to you. We get it a lot. How do we? And is it possible? So if it is possible to get them to care, how do we do it?
I mean, to say, how do I get them to care as much as I do? I think it's possible. Maybe it's naive in leadership to go, yeah, absolutely, you can do that. But to care almost as much, isn't that as much a win? Yeah. But the reality is, you've got to seriously, individually care about your people. And on the other hand, you have to care about where you're going. And if you don't, how can they? But back to your question of how can I get them to care as much as I do? You have to align what they're doing with the why that you set forth, and then show them how what they're doing applies to that vision. And if you can connect those dots, if it's the guy in the mailroom, Dave does this brilliantly. He talks about, if you're doing a line of code, if you're shipping a book, we just tried our best to take a page from that playbook and break it down all the way across the team and go, this is where we're going, and this is how what you do applies to that vision. And if you can get on board with that, then it makes that day's work that much easier.
Yeah. See, I love what you just said there. And I'm going to throw this out there. I guess it's possible. I hate to say that anything is impossible, but the reality is you said something that made me think. If we can get them to care deeply, that's good enough. I mean, I don't know if you're a founder that you can get somebody that will ever care as much as you do because of the nature of the fact that you're the founder. However, if they see how much that you care and they see how much you care for them, then they go, I'm going to care a lot because of how much he cares for this mission and this vision, and how much he cares for me. And I think that's enough care. I think you can build a winning organization with that much care.
Man, I would go to battle with that every day of the week.
Well, I think it's what we've done here. I think to Dave's credit and to the board's credit, I think we have, and I'm not saying everybody, but I'm saying we got a lot of people around here who care deeply.
Absolutely.
And then we see the result of that. So it really is great, and this is really about communication and constantly understanding. I'm going to tee you up to say that to talk about this. The last thing I'll ask you. From time to time, Dave will mention the fact that we're crusaders. What does that mean? Why does he say that so much? Why that word?
I think a crusader it's somebody that's so focused on the end result. where we're not just where we're going or the goals we've set forth, but the end result. It's the people on the other end of this. It's charging the hill so that we can affect lives. Like you go out in the halls and you ask anyone here, like, why you do what you do. It's because the single mom stands in the lobby and does her debt-free screen.
That's right.
So like all else fails, we're changing lives. Now, if we have an argument about how we're going to get to where we're going, that becomes the deciding factor of like, well, how are we going to get to that mission faster? Okay, well then we can come to an agreement and move forward. It's that aspect of it's not me, it's not you, it's us together and how we're going to drive towards that common goal. That's a crusade. Yeah. Because it's so much bigger than me, my leadership, my career, my trajectory, or you on the same side.
That's right.
It's what we're doing together as an organization to affect change on the outside.
That's exactly right. We're all purveyors of hope.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't matter what role you are, whether you're on a mic like I am or, you know, these amazing guys in the booth that make all this happen. It's all about hope. We've got to give people hope. Hope that you can build the business that you dreamed of. Hope that you can pay the debt off, whatever it is. So great stuff. Brian Williams, thanks for hanging out with us. This is good stuff, a good reminder of what we need to know about leading teams, and we appreciate it.
Very cool. Thank you, bro.